"We're moving," Andrew declared the obvious. Rose tried the door handle in vain. "Let us out," she demanded. "You cannot refuse an invitation to the Samhagen," Pomona said, digging her fingernail into the core for the seeds. The apple disappeared and was replaced by a book. Andrew realized there was nothing wrong with his eyes. Pomona hummed softly as she placed an apple seed on the page and closed the book on it. A second book appeared, and she did the same, and finally a third apple seed went into a third book, which then disappeared. Pomona looked up empty-handed, smiling at them, pleased with herself. "Fine, fine, very good." Rose turned to see what she was looking at, and the pointed end of her tall, conical hat nearly poked Andrew in the eye. She was dressed exactly like the peach drawing. She hadn't noticed because her attention was on Andrew, who was wearing a kilt in his father's tartan colors. Patrick, sporting a green frock coat with tails and breeches, stared at both of them, open-mouthed for a moment, then looked down at himself. "Where are you taking us?" Andrew asked. "To the crossing of 3 paths, where the bonfire burns for the Samhagen," Pomona said. "Why us?" Patrick asked. "You were invited," Pomona said. "What are you talking about?" Rose asked. Her waving hand knocked the hat, discovering it for the first time. She yanked it off and threw it to the floor. "Those were very fashionable in my time," Pomona said disapprovingly. The lantern stopped swaying. The wagon became still. "We're here," Pomona said. "Where?" Pomona pointed at the door. Rose ran over and tried the handle. It opened easily. Outside, in the middle of a clearing surrounded by forest, were 2 bonfires. Only one burned. The other was still being built by dozens of children, dressed in a variety of peasant costumes, who gathered sticks, twigs, and limbs of wood to add to the pile. A girl wearing a lace kerchief around her head, tucked up to her cheeks, beckoned them down the steps. "Help us," she said. The trio formed a discussion huddle. "Well," Patrick asked the others. "Not much else we can do if we don't know where we are," Andrew said. "We might find out something," Rose added. They stepped outside and down the stairs to join the girl. They gathered ground brush, sticking together, not venturing far from the wagon. "Where did the cats go?" Rose asked the girl, having noticed the harness laying empty between the wagon wheels. "Around," the girl replied, tugging her kerchief tighter. Andrew dumped an armload onto the woodpile and asked, "What is going on?" The girl pointed at the crackling flames of the burning bonfire. "When that fire burns low, a torch is taken from its embers and used to light the new bonfire. We join hands around it, and as the fire builds and warms us, we call to fire's father, the sun." Once all the scraps of wood and brush were on the woodpile, the other children began to take seats on woven reed mats set at a warm distance around the burn. The trio held back until only 3 mats remained unclaimed. Patrick sat beside the girl with the kerchief, Andrew beside him, and Rose beside Andrew. "What now?" Patrick asked the girl. "We watched the flames die." "Exciting," Rose quipped. Andrew let out a nervous giggle, and Patrick nudged him quiet. A boy with a feathered cap appeared, carrying a tray of cakes. He offered them to Patrick first, who was reaching for one when Andrew poked him, a pass-on warning from Rose. "No thanks," Patrick said, pulling his hand back. The boy leaned closer and lowered his voice. "These are soul cakes. Their batter is mixed the day after Samhagen. Soul cakes are to be eaten the next Samhagen in the name of a departed loved one. Their eternally suffering spirit gains a moment of relief when a soul cake is eaten in their name." The boy indicated the lace tie holding each individually wrapped package. Patrick recognized the fabric from the bureau in Nana's room. "Your grandmother prepared these soul cakes last year." "Nana, yes, I'll take one," Patrick said, and reached out again. But the boy withdrew the tray before he could select one. "Soul cakes have a price." "How much?" Patrick asked. "Not in coin, a fair exchange," the boy answered enigmatically. He waited, saying nothing more. Patrick thought for a moment, then reached into his pocket, unlatched the charm, placed it on the tray, and took a soul cake. The tray went to Andrew next. He exchanged his knife. Rose denied knowing Nana, but the boys convinced her to trade her magnifying glass. The boy with the feathered cap continued around the rest of the circle, and after each exchange, the purchaser eagerly undid the lace and took a savory bite. The 3 friends unwrapped their soul cakes and bit cautiously. They grinned at each other over the good taste. Rose kept her eye on the boy as he completed the circle. She watched him tip the tray's contents into a stone pot. She watched him fit the pot to a metal tripod, which suspended it above the center of the woodpile. She kept her eyes on the stone vessel long after the boy had rejoined the circle to wait for the old fire to burn out.